Hello. Welcome everyone to the IDEAfit Pro Show. Today, let's dive into a conversation with somebody who's not only educating the next wave of fitness professionals, but also redefining how they show up both in person and online. Tyler Valencia, Ph.D., by the way, is the president of KIPS and a seasoned entrepreneur in the fitness education space. From launching award-winning training businesses to pioneering content that connects with modern audiences, Tyler brings a fresh perspective on growth, trust, and visibility in fitness. Tyler, welcome to the IDEAfit Pro Show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be on this show, share what I've done in the industry, and hopefully get people excited for some of the sessions that are coming up at Idea World.
Yes. Well, I just have recently gotten to know you, although brief. I'm looking forward to today's segment really to learn more about you, how you got your start in the industry. You not only have a successful business now, but you've worked with some legendary certifying agencies and leaders in our industry. So maybe let's just start out by having you introduce yourself and your early days in fitness. What drew you to this field, and tell us about your path.
Yeah, so I started pretty young with personal training. And when I got into the industry, I think I was about 19 years old. I was working at a higher tier gym, I'll call it. And I was very lucky to get into a gym like that taught me the competition that's involved with working at a higher tier gym, what it's like with 35, 40 trainers on staff. And this was actually before I started my undergraduate degree at Long Beach State. And that was really where things started to take off. I was doing my undergraduate degree with Dr. Jan Schroeder. And really, when you think about how things start to connect pieces and where things can lead to and how you never know what's to come, I answered a request for an internship at Nesta, one of the fitness education companies. I put it in the top 10, and they are located in deep Orange County. And Dr. Schroeder had sent out an email to all the students, and I was the only one that answered. And it's kind of surprising when I look back on it now, but I answered it, and that's really what set me off onto a different route within the fitness industry. I started to get internship hours at Nesta with that program at Long Beach State. I think in total, I know that Dr. Schroeder is going to kill me for this because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think it's like 500 to 700 hours, and
Yeah.
I completed a good amount of hours there. And once I graduated, they offered me a position. Of course, I accepted it, and I was doing that and also starting a boot camp in Long Beach. And that was really kind of my first taste of entrepreneurship, was starting a boot camp and realizing that I like this. So I was working at Nesta, I had my boot camp on the side, and I'm doing both these at the same time. And as life goes, you grow yourself. I got an opportunity to work at NCCPT, another fitness education company, and I was the vice president of NCCPT, and it was a great opportunity for me. I was only 27 years old, and by that time I had already worked on 3 different accreditation applications to help design different programs. And it was really a lot of pieces that helped me build towards starting KIPS. So we're going to 2016 right now. And at that time, I didn't have any kids. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we had a serious conversation about our future. And she said, you know what? You've always liked working for yourself. You enjoy that entrepreneurial spirit. Right now would be the time to do it. And so I had left my position at CPT, started KIPS, and since then I've been creating education and speaking at different conferences. And really that was something that set me on the path that I am now in terms of with KIPS, creating weekly content for YouTube, trying to develop new courses that are current towards what fitness professionals want now, and really just trying to keep up to date with everything. And I really enjoy it. And I think I'm very lucky that that's really how I've gotten to where I am now in the fitness industry.
I want to go deeper with learning more about the insights that you have from your experience working with these various agencies and really being on the inside of both creating content, but also standards for professionals in our space. Here at IDEA, obviously, we're incredibly passionate and supportive of all the certifying agencies that are maintaining these standards. But I would love to kind of go behind the scenes and maybe you could give us some candid insights as to what is it like to work at an agency? What are some of the common struggles that you're seeing your trainers face? And then lastly, like, what does it take to really be prepared to actually train clients versus just take a test? So I'd love to hear more about that.
Whew, you're packing a question in right there. That's a loaded question there, Amy. I'm going to do my best to not ruffle any feathers. But it's it's a good question because we just actually released a podcast yesterday with two individuals that have been at the forefront of licensure and registry for personal trainers. I had Francis and Eric from ACSM and Graham Melstrand who used to work for ACE. And those gentlemen do work with US reps. And so getting insight into what that looks like now was very beneficial for me as the host of the KIPS podcast, just to be able to talk about these items that I've heard about for years. And to be honest, I'll admit it right now that I forgot about a lot of these things about licensure, about registry, about US reps until I was preparing for this podcast and I was researching these different organizations and how they fit into the current standard of personal training and education. And so with all that being said and all these words that I'm throwing around here, what I really took away from this podcast episode is that potentially registry is a more realistic option for personal trainers moving forward. Now, what does that mean? What am I even talking about? Where does it fit into a listener for this podcast? If you were just a regular Fit Pro, regular personal trainer, what they are trying to share and get moving within the industry is once you take your certification, and a lot of the organizations already do submit your name and information to US reps, but essentially you would get entered into a database of registered personal trainers so that hopefully when you want to go get hired at a gym, that the person in the HR department or even a consumer, if they want to hire you, they can look you up and see, okay, yep, this is a current certification and they are valid. Check all those boxes. Great. Now, 10 years ago, when I was working on accreditation applications and working on developing education for NESTA and for NCCPT, these were just conversations. And whenever the conversation of licensure was brought up, it just seems like it's how do we fit all these things into what's happening in the industry right now? So to see that step moving forward, yeah, I think it's great. I think one of the pieces that I took away from it that a gym owner would want to implement something like this is in those hiring practices. From now the consumer end, the personal trainer, what would be the push for them to want something like registry for personal trainers would be that hopefully they now have an idea of what all the educational programs are that would be accepted at their facility they're trying to get hired at. I know that just from times when years ago, when I was trying to get hired as a personal trainer, sometimes there would just be 1, 2, 3 different options listed as the qualifications on an application. So to be able to know that, oh, wow, this facility I could take one of these courses to get certified and they would hire me. That would be a benefit to push for. So that was very informational or educational for me as the host of the KIPS podcast. But in terms of insight, that's a big one, because this was even brought up in the episode that we released yesterday, was about how some of the skill sets that are very necessary for personal trainers on day one, such as soft skills or business skills, being able to sell personal training, those are not really hammered home in a certification like a CPT, because it's hard to test those things. It's hard to see how is someone's interpersonal skills through an exam. And we know just after a few years, I feel like this is what kind of is changing education, is the importance of soft skills, that you need to be able to make a connection with somebody on day one. You need to be able to empathize with them, to be able to see what they're going through, what happened in the past, where they want to go now, and create that connection within an hour, hour and a half. And you can't really get that through a certification. I think that moving forward, if there was a way to find ways for internships, apprentice work, to potentially give people an idea of what the career is like for a personal trainer, that could be very, very beneficial to kind of see, okay, maybe this is for me. Because we've kind of seen that the realities, once a new trainer gets in, oh, wow, this is a big shock. I didn't know that this was going to be expected of me, that I need to sell myself as a trainer. They think, oh, I'm just going to come in, I'm going to have a great time. I get a free gym membership. And they're like, wait a minute, I have to complete how many hours? I have to reach what kind of sales goal? Oh my goodness, this is not for me. And they end up leaving. I think those percentages, when we start to talk about them in the podcast, and one of the ones that I use pretty regularly is coming from American Spa, that states that 80% of personal trainers leave within the first year. Gym owners that I know, they say that it's sooner than a year, and it might be even higher than that, it's shocking. So we know that there is some type of mix up with people entering day one, longevity. And I do believe that education is the key. I got to say that right now. I got to throw that in, not trying to be biased, because I always own an educational company and we're talking about IDEA, an educational conference. But I do think it is a key to learning more, having that mindset of how much knowledge can I acquire. And we might have to look at packaging things as a CPT and maybe some hands-on training or a online course that really talks about soft skills. And so that's kind of like my mindset of it, is what is that Rubik's Cube that's going to work to get people hopefully into the industry and hopefully staying for longer, because it is a great industry. I know that I make content for YouTube that sometimes makes it seem like that personal training's bad. The realities of being a personal trainer, it's so hard. But it is a great industry, and being able to help people with their health. I mean, I know that I get goosebumps when I start thinking about clients in the past that I've helped with their life goals and reaching things that they never thought they could. I mean, I'm thinking about some of my head right now, and even also I get a little emotional about it. But those are the things that we work for. You have to love helping people, and hopefully we can work towards something that helps people on that path. I know I said a lot there.
Yeah. And thank you, because I was having a tickle in my throat. So thank you for talking. So Francis and Graham and I go way back in terms of really trying to align on this. How do we help professionals get the minimal qualifications they need to enter our profession? And that's truly what the certification process is. It's giving people those minimal skills so that they can train people safely and understand the basic anatomy and movement and kinesiology, et cetera. But then, as we all know, there's so many different directions that you can take your career. And that's where there's advanced certifications, there's specialty certificates, lots of different ways that professionals can blossom. We also had, when I was, oh my gosh, this was in the 90s. I'm going to show my age, but when I first moved to California and worked at the Sporting Club at Aventine, we did have a mentorship program. It was a 6-month mentorship where each week the mentors would meet with us, and then they had shadow hours, practical application they had to test out. And at the end of the 6 months, they would get their certification. I wish more of those programs existed today. IDEA just launched our mentor network, but that's not a hands-on practical application. That's more you're getting a coach to guide you through your career. So I absolutely agree with you. There's definitely a need and a place for workspaces to create on-site job experience and to really mentor these individuals through the first 3 to 6 months of their career to help them get off the ground successfully.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. One of the programs that I always mention is with Equinox. That's just one of the ones off the top of my head. I've had Equinox trainers attend workshops that I've been to in the past, and I know that they go through a very rigorous onboarding program when they enter the industry that gives them those skills, gives them more education. And I think that there's something in there to try to help gyms and personal trainers at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. And I know Equinox does truly a great job. Their standards are very high for professionals. And I also think I've said this before, but I think our business model for fitness professionals is inherently broken as well. The fact that people are thrown into sink or swim without being paid fair wages and a decent salary and health benefits and all the benefits that any other employee in other lines of work are entitled to. The fact that we sit in the gig economy really is challenging for professionals to get a start, to have a family, to have basic healthcare, like healthcare. So they find themselves, if you don't survive in that 3 to 6 month window that you have, just like you gave yourself a chance, you and your wife took a risk on your own business, but there's a point in time where you have to say, this isn't working. I've got to find something else. And unfortunately, because we have the pay to play model, and people have to only get paid on the hours that they can find clients, it makes it incredibly challenging.
Yeah, I agree. I know that those were topics back in 2010 when I was first entering the industry, and trainers that were working at the facility, this large facility, that this was their full-time career. They were fighting for these things back then, and it's still a big conversation topic. So there's definitely something that needs to change. I don't have the answers for those, but it's very interesting.
Well, you're part of the solution. I know that, Tyler, because you are a voice in this industry. You are putting out quality education. You are up leveling fitness professionals. And so just the fact that you're having conversations with Francis and Graham and myself, and I saw Anthony Wall was on your podcast and lots of others, that tells me that you're part of the solution. So
Oh,
let's
thank
do
you.
it together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We've been very lucky to have some great guests on the KIPS podcast.
Yeah. So let's talk a little more about, I'm calling this the trust factor. I want to talk about how you build trust with clients. I know this is an area that you are really passionate about. How can trainers really foster trust that leads to better training sessions, to that long-term, I guess this is one of those soft skills that you talked about. Building trust and rapport is one of the essential soft skills that trainer needs. Tell us a little bit more about that in terms of how you learned it, how you teach it, and anything you could share with Fit Pros to get better at it.
Yeah, I would honestly say that this ties into the first segment when we're talking about education and the need for education. A new client, they want to trust you. They want to believe that anything that you say is 100% right. And really, that's on us to, as personal trainers, fitness professionals, to guide them safely using science-based practices, to build sessions, to guide them, cue them, all these kinds of things that we learn in our certification education. And what I always think back to is I can't remember the year, but I remember I had this client years ago, and it was one of those clients that would test me. That this gentleman would come in and he would ask me about certain exercises, and then he would go home and he would research them in the computer. And I know you're like, what? There's not people like that. Yes, there are clients like that, but I bring that story up because I had to be on my game. And sometimes as trainers, we sometimes slip in those areas that we just go through the flow. We just go through the reps of it, but bringing new things to them, whether it is a new piece of equipment, a new programming technique, cue, whatever that might be, that's part of our job. And that's part of continually learning on the job. And as I, over the years, got more interested in different pieces of the fitness industry, and those might be unconventional items that I'll dive into more, but maybe individuals listening to this podcast might know of maybe Viper Pro. They might know of TRX, things that are more mainstream, battle ropes, that kind of stuff. But when you dive into things like Indian clubs or steel mace, or things that you're like, wait a minute, are you making up these terms? No. There are pieces of equipment that are named that. And when clients see these pieces of equipment, their first thought might be, oh, this is going to hurt me. But if you have built trust over sessions, that clients know that, okay, I don't like this exercise, but I know that my trainer, they are programming this because they know it's going to benefit me, that they would not put me in a position that is going to harm me. They will run through a wall. No matter if it's programmed, they're going to do it because they trust you. And that's part of the soft skills. That's part of creating connection. That's part of building this relationship. And so I think a part of these unconventional tools that I've always liked is just seeing when the pieces start to connect in a client's head. The one that I always use for an example is Indian clubs. And if somebody listening is like, what are Indian clubs? They're very lightweight club looking things that are either plastic or traditionally wooden. And when I would introduce them to clients, I would always tie, this was back when I was training more men in the retired age frame, that they are golfers and they have mobility issues, and they're coming to me because they were before doing the same program that they did back when they were in their 20s, and they realized, wait a minute, I'm 55. I can't be doing the same program that I was back then, just doing bench press and barbell squats. And they come to me thinking, okay, Tyler's going to show me what to do, how to use these different things. And then all of a sudden they see these Indian clubs, and then I tie it to, maybe it's an increased range of motion in that backswing of their golf swing. And then it clicks in their head and like, yep, this makes sense to me. And now they incorporate it. They're buying their own. They're doing all these steps. Like, wow, my clients listen to me. Yeah, because you've built trust over the sessions. You've built up with your clients that your programming solid, your cues are solid, that you are going to help them on their path. And I think that tying in, coming back, bringing all the things I mentioned into one, tying in the educational piece, that you have furthered your education. You're not just stagnant in what your outlook is on personal training education, that you are looking at new certifications, new continuing education courses is really part of it. And that's where things like IDEA come into hand, where you can go to a conference and you can learn about a variety, various topics at one weekend. I had somebody on the KIPS podcast about 2 months ago, Pat Rigsby, and he's a business coach, former gym owner. And he was talking about when he was growing in the industry, that conferences were places where people could only get high-end knowledge on certain, like, really in-depth topics. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize with conferences is that they can go to a weekend event and tap into things that they never knew possible, that was not on their radar. And all of a sudden they get a little taste of it in an hour and a half, 2-hour session. And whoa, I might want to go learn more about this. So it helps them with that path of figuring out, okay, this might be that next step that helps my personal training business, helps my clients. And that's part of getting outside of your comfort zone at these conferences. I know that some people want to, if they're into one track, this is my only track, but try something new. And that's one of my favorite things that I'm going to tie this into my sessions is that when people come to my sessions and I show them these random things that they never thought would be used in a gym, that it opens their eyes to what's out there in the fitness industry. With one of my sessions, we're going to be utilizing talking about unconventional fitness tools and things that are out there that, like I mentioned, Indian clubs or steel maces, we're talking about those types of things and hopefully opens up their eyes. And that is what I'm talking about with getting outside your comfort zone. Think about it. Come check it out. Find the description on the IDEA page, and hopefully I'll see you there.
Yeah, I love how you're inviting fitness professionals to stay curious. Always be curious. You never know everything, and you never know every body that you're going to work with. And so every time you get introduced to a new client, you have quite the adventure in learning what their body needs and how you can give them the best training using the best modalities available to you. And I find, like, especially when you work with clients for a long time, they start to get bored. So it's super fun to bring in new modalities to just keep it fresh, keep it light, even though it might be the same technique or movement. But if you used the, different modality, it makes it fun for them. So I love that you do that in a safe and inviting environment with your clients. I love that. Thank you. So I do want to get to Idea World. I know you're teasing everybody about your sessions, but we'll get there in a second. I also know that you are an Aqua Fitness trainer. So I grew up, I worked at a club, a large multi-purpose club, like sounds like you did, with lots of trainers, and we had access to a pool. So I was teaching Aqua Fitness. I also had some in-home clients, but I don't think a lot of fitness professionals are even considering this aspect of training, and it is so much fun. So tell the audience about your experience. What got you excited about Aqua Fitness, and are you still doing it today?
Oh, well, I got to say that I'm going to tell a story that I've told on different podcasts already. So if somebody listening to this, they do listen to the KIPS podcast and they're thinking, Tyler, I've heard this story already. Don't you have any other stories? No, I'm going to hammer home on the same one here. Um, so back in the day when I worked at this big gym, and it was in the South Bay of California, it was in Manhattan Beach where I grew up. And in this gym, when you walk in, you check in, and then you walk back to the locker rooms. On the right-hand side is the men's locker room. Left-hand side was the women's. And straight ahead in the glass enclosure was the pool. And I tell this story that if I was training my clients in the pool back in the day, that this would be such a big marketing tool. And I got into this last year. I started to see things on Instagram from companies like Hydro Revolution, Viper Pro. They were using these tools, or Viper Pro, which I have my own set of Viper Pro and I'm very big into them. And they were using all these tools in the pool. And I was like, wait a minute, I have a pool. I want to start doing these things. And it really started to unlock things in my head in terms of creativity and just that difference that it makes, that it could be utilized as a training session or a recovery day, and just how much fun it is. When I talk about why you should take your clients into the pool, it is fun and it is something that they will look forward to. And in terms of marketing and your business as a personal trainer, if you are taking your clients into the pool, let's say on a recovery day, that is an extra session that you are rendering each week, which equals more sales, more packages sold, and more money in your pocket. And if we're talking about content now for social media or marketing yourself as a personal trainer, you are now showing people, well, wow, what are you doing at the pool with all these tools? You're creating circuits and you're getting your clients to smile, have fun, you playing music, all these different things. It is such a powerful tool. And I think that the part of it that I laugh about is probably when I tell people that I like to exercise in the pool. They're like, oh, you're gonna go grab your floaties and your styrofoam dumbbells and you're gonna do what people might consider as traditional water aerobics. And I do have to throw in there that if you are one of those people that thinks, oh, that's not Aqua Fitness, like that's not for me. If you don't think that those are great workouts for individuals in that demographic, you're wrong. Those are fantastic workouts for them. Try one yourself. You will probably be winded. I mean, that's not for me, but it's, I know it's a fantastic class for those demographics. And with personal training now and tying this into your business, it could be circuits. It could be training sessions that you are just doing 1v1. But in my opinion, it is such a fantastic workout. And again, I hope that talking about it and getting more information out there, that more trainers see it that way, that it is a way to build their business and have fun with their clients.
Absolutely. You could, I mean, I can't add anything to that. You said it perfectly, but I will just double down on fun. It is so much fun to be with your client in the water or on the deck, either one, so much fun. Okay, so I want to hear, Tyler, what is your IDEA story? How did you first hear about IDEA? And when would you attend your first event? Tell us a little more about your IDEA story.
Oh man. So this was hard not to tie into my beginning. I knew this question was coming, and this is just me as the host, being a podcast host, knowing like what's coming and how to hold back and not to ruin the podcast for somebody that I did know some of the questions that were coming. But my IDEA story, and this is more of a reason to attend if you are somebody listening to the IDEAfit Pro show, that you are thinking, oh, I'm on the fence, or is this really for me? Back in the day when I was in my undergraduate degree, Dr. Schroeder, what is her exact title for IDEA? I'm trying to.
She built our program. She's our program director this year. Yeah.
She was one of my main professors, and every year she would have this opportunity for students to attend IDEA. And I will admit on the show in front of the people that are watching that I did not attend because I didn't understand the benefit of it, the benefit of going to a conference and getting influence of what is out there and opening my eyes to it. I think as I started to get into conferencing and realizing, oh, wow, the collaboration, the opportunity for networking, and flipping it for students, trainers, instructors that are going to conferences that I know I mentioned already, just being able to see all these different things. It's such a benefit. If I was to just focus on one thing, talking about the networking and the collaboration opportunities, that's what content creation is these days, is finding others that you can tap into their network, collaborate with them. I know that on my social media deck that I need to publish is a collaboration post with another YouTube instructor that I need to post it, but that is part of content creation these days, is collaborating. It's not so much me versus you. There's plenty to go around. So if you can go to a conference like Idea World, find other Fit Pros, or even potentially a presenter that wants to collaborate on content or something, that is such a big step to help you move forward within the industry. And I hope that people listening do take advantage of that.
Yeah, excellent point. And so glad you did finally attend an event. Finally. They're right in your
Yes,
backyard. You grew up in Southern California, so they've been here
I
all
did.
along. Okay, so now I know you teased what you are presenting on, but why don't you tell us the sessions you have at Idea World this year and some of the what students could expect to learn?
Yeah, so hopefully you got a really good taste of what I'll be presenting on with my two sessions. I will be talking about Aqua Fitness for personal trainers, really diving more into what I talked about with marketing, how to utilize it with your programming, those types of things that I really think that trainers, if they have the availability to take clients to the pool, they have a pool, if their gym has a pool, that can level up their business. And I think you could become that trainer at the gym that clients are walking by, seeing sessions going on, but how do I get a session with that trainer? That can be you. And we will talk about those things. And that session, the other one I have is about unconventional fitness tools. As I mentioned before, there are different ways, different tools that you can implement with your clients. And hopefully I can open your eyes to what's out there and get you excited about some of them.
I love it. I love it. And as you said, the networking is, I mean, the education is the very best in the industry. And I'm not just saying that as the owner of this company, because I too have been attending the events my entire career and I stay certified and I go to these classes and get my CECs. So best education, but the networking is going to be so great this year, from the welcome party to the Fit Expo, all the different chances that you get to network with individuals. I know you talked about that as a benefit. How do you network? What is your networking strategy? And I love that I caught this. You used conferencing as a verb. I love that. It's an active, it's an action. You're like,
It is.
I do conferencing. I love that. You're right in my heart. But tell us, how do you network? What's your strategy?
Oh, man. With networking, I think a part of it is being prepared. That's something that I know that I have been bad with and that I had to learn from experience. In my desk, that's right below me here, is my business cards. And that is on my checklist of things to make sure I put into my conferencing bag is my business cards that have all my information, my social media, my email address, that kind of information on it. I did not prepare when I first started getting back into the conference world. Was People would come up to me, oh, do you have a business card? And I'd be like, oh, and it didn't look good. So be ready. Even if you are a trainer, instructor coming to this, have business cards. If you strike up a conversation at the end of a session, and that is one of the things that I know is I've heard in other podcasts, is how go speak with the presenter after, because it is true. I can tell you as a presenter, I know that I am, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I've been speaking at different conferences for probably 6 years now, 7 years. And it still gets me when people come up to me and that they are like, oh, I loved your session. And they tell me about the way that they're implementing some piece of it or the parts that they like about it. And it gets me every time. Like, people want to talk to me. Like, I'm just up here, like sharing some information, some knowledge, and people want to talk. Do it. Please approach presenters, talk with them, and have your business card ready, because you never know. Ask for their business card and follow up on it. If they say, hey, message me with some X, Y, Z after if you want help with something, actually email them, because a lot of Fit Pros will collaborate. They will want to share more information. So don't be afraid to do those types of things.
And you build your database. So you come back, you find that
Yes.
person in LinkedIn, you send them an email right away, and then they become someone that you can reach out to for their expertise or for guidance when you need it. It's
Yes.
truly like the thing I valued most about every conference I went to. I mean, back in the day, again, I'm aging myself, but I would come home with a big pile of business cards and I would take the time to email every single person. And if I could remember their face and the conversation we had, I would mention that so they could remember me. And then now with all of social media, it makes it so much easier because you can like and friend each other right on the spot. And that way you're connected. So, but you have to nurture those relationships. Just like you build trust with clients, you've got to build trust with your network. And then you can lean on that network when you need it. So thank you for that. And I'm so excited to see you at World. Again, I will tell our audience that these sessions do fill up and it's first come, first serve. So you've got to get in, get registered for Idea World, and then you can immediately pick your sessions. And you want to make sure to get Tyler's sessions into your schedule so that you can get in that classroom. Okay, so this kind of wrapping up the show here, I'm just really admire the podcast that you've built and the types of guests that you're interviewing, as I said before. But I'm sure you've learned a lot in that experience and talking with all of these great people and networking with them essentially on air. So I'd love is in closing, if you could leave some advice for fitness professionals listening, some things that you've learned along the way that maybe from your guests, maybe from your own experiences, but things you would leave, little golden nuggets that would help people to be more successful in this industry.
Ooh, that's a big one. It's a big one because it could be of various things, in my opinion. I think that one of the things I've learned over, and I know it sounds crazy to me when I say it out loud, that I've been in the industry for 18, 19 years now, is that it could be various things. No matter what your personality is, what your strengths are, you can make things work in the fitness industry. It's finding the right avenue that works for you, that you feel comfortable moving forward. I think that a lot of times we go into an area that we don't feel comfortable with. It's not the right fit. With myself and being a business owner, fit has been one of the biggest things for me moving forward. Is I want to make sure that I work with people that I enjoy. I want to make sure that I'm making content that I enjoy making and being happy about it, making sure that I am happy waking up each day, going on the grind of working in this industry, which it is a grind, no matter if you're a personal trainer, group exercise instructor, a business owner, wherever you are, it is a grind. And so make sure that you find something that you are passionate about and happy about. Of course, checks all the boxes, that you're covering your bills, paying all those types of things, your rent, food, all that kind of stuff. And I think that that really is the key, because all the other things that we talk about within the fitness street, they start to tie in. They really start to come together if you are happy, because it shows when you're working with clients, when you are not happy about it or you're not fully there. And so making sure that you are happy, you're in a position that you like. And if not, don't be afraid to try something else. Don't be afraid to go find a different position, find a different gym, find a different format, find a different certification. Do not be afraid to make those types of changes. And I think that that has been a big part too for myself, is being willing to adapt, being willing to pivot. And those are pieces that will last if you just are willing to do those things. Happy, pivot when you need to, and do it your way.
Tyler, thank you for sharing your journey and your experience with our audience today. You've reminded us that growth in this field is about more than credentials. It's about experience, connection, and really truly showing up authentically. Thank you. And to our listeners, if you want to keep learning from Tyler, make sure you check out his sessions at 2025 Idea World coming up in Sacramento. It is the ultimate opportunity to sharpen your skills and surround yourself with passionate pros from around the world. Until next time, this is the IDEAfit Pro Show, where fitness is our business.
Yeah.